The dust billowed up around her boots like some old memory stirred from the ground. Clara Rose Wickham stood at the edge of the hollow almost a year since she'd been gone. Her dress was faded, the color of regret, and her breath caught in her throat at the sight of the ranch she never thought she'd see again. The land lay still and golden in the late afternoon sun, and from behind the fence, the sound of a child's laughter drifted on the breeze, a song she used to know. Hazel Clara's hand gripped the fence rail, splinters biting into her fingers. There she was, her daughter, barefoot in the dirt, spinning in a circle with a fistful of wildflowers clutched tight. And behind her, steady as a rock and twice as still, stood Josiah Burdock. He was watching Hazel with the careful kindness of someone who'd learned to hold on to joy. She called him Papa between giggles, and he just chuckled, kneeling down to take her dusty little bouquet. Clara couldn't tell what broke first, her breath or her heart. She told herself she only wanted to know Hazel was happy, that'd be enough to just know she was safe. But watching her little girl wrap her arms around another man's neck with a trust Clara could no longer claim, it was like a blade turning. She didn't announce herself. Not yet. She just stood at the edge of the property like a sinner outside a church, unsure if she still belonged. When Josiah finally noticed her, he didn't flinch. He didn't move. He just looked quiet and deep like he'd been expecting this moment and didn't quite trust it yet. Their eyes met. Clara gave a single slow nod. He nodded back. By the time she reached the porch, Hazel had already run inside to get something. Clara stood there, her arms folded across her chest like a shield she hadn't worn in months. Josiah opened the door but didn't speak. His gaze didn't pity her, and it didn't judge. Just a quiet, solid welcome, like a man who knew the weight of a hard choice, and wasn't in any hurry to make her as lighter. "I'm not here to take her back," she said. Before he could ask, "I couldn't then, and I can't now. I just needed to see her." Josiah stepped aside. The door creaked open, a sound like an old memory. "She'll want to see you, too." Inside, the house smelled of fresh bread and worn leather. Simple, warm, lived in. Hazel's drawings were pinned to the walls. Little stick figures of horses and sunshine. Her name scribbled in shaky letters. Clara's knees went weak when she saw a picture of three people, Hazel, Josiah, and a woman with long yellow hair. Her. Suddenly, Hazel burst back into the room, a well-loved ragged doll in her arms. "Mama, Mama, I still got her. Look, I didn't forget her." Clara knelt, arms wide, and Hazel slammed into her like a spring rain hitting a dusty field. For a moment, nothing else existed. Clara buried her face in Hazel's hair, breathing her in like a blessing. Josiah stood nearby, silent, giving them the space that only good men know how to create. Later, after Hazel was tucked in after begging her mama to stay for just one night, Clara and Josiah sat on the porch. The night was quiet with only the soft shifting of horses in the corral and the rustle of cottonwood leaves overhead. "I never stopped thinking about her," Clara murmured. "Even when I was hungry, even when I thought maybe it'd be kinder just to forget." Josiah didn't look at her. He just took a slow sip from a tin cup and nodded. "She never stopped waiting." Clara swallowed hard. "I thought I'd come back and find her angry, changed, but she still loves me." "How does that not fade?" "Because you're her mother," Josiah said. "And because a child's love, it isn't earned. It just is." Silence settled again, but it was softer now. Clara finally looked at him. Truly looked. His eyes were tired, but kind, and his shoulders carried a quiet strength that didn't need to be proven. He wasn't handsome in the way men were in the saloon stories. He was something stronger, something steady and safe. "I heard what they say in town. Clara said about me, about you raising another man's burden." Josiah's gaze didn't waver. "I don't pay mind to people who'd rather gossip than build." Clara gave a faint smile. "Still, I didn't expect you to keep her. Most men wouldn't have." He set his cup down slowly. "I didn't expect to love her either, but I do." The words landed between them, a quiet truth that settled everything. Clara nodded, tears threatening again. I never had a man offer me something without expecting something back. She said, not until I saw you put your hand on her head like she was your own. He didn't answer right away. Then, low and sure, she is. Clara stood unsure if she should thank him or just run. She didn't want to stay out of pity. But she didn't want to leave with a heart this full and nowhere to put it. I should go, she said, even as her feet refused to move. Josiah stood too. He didn't touch her, but he stepped close enough that the space between them suddenly felt small. You're welcome here, he said, just as yourself. Her breath hitched. But what am I, Josiah? He hesitated, then did something he hadn't done since his wife had passed. He reached out and gently touched her hand, his rough fingers brushing hers with a tenderness that made her forget every man who ever tried to buy her. A woman worth staying for, he said. She stared at him, stunned, not by the words, but because for the first time in years, she almost believed them. Through the window, Hazel stirred in her sleep. Mama, don't go. Clara closed her eyes. The weight of the long road she'd traveled began to lift. Maybe I'll stay one more night, she whispered. Josiah said nothing. He just opened the door. But in his stillness, in his presence, a question hung in the quiet night air, unspoken, aching. Could you love me too?